This is Devin Croswell with Sherpa Design, and we're going to take a look at a lesser known limit option within the Extrude tool. That option is called Offset from Selected. And I've started a file here, and I'm going to jump into my Extrude command. And under these limit pull downs, I have Offset from Selected, either on the start side or the end side. And I possibly do both if I wanted to. In this case, I do have to extrude something before I can start using those limits. So I'm going to go ahead and create a profile. We'll select one of those datum planes there and then use a profile to draw in something that's a little more complicated than your standard rectangle. Hit escape a couple of times and finish my sketch. Here I have my start ball. I can drag that along the vector, and the end arrow, drag that along the vector as well. And those are my limits. And so I'm extruding along the vector, this profile. And maybe I want to form one end of my extrude a certain way. I need specific detail on this one end of my extruded body, and I could extrude it out past the length that it actually has to be and then sketch in something that I then use to trim off the end, but I can also use that offset from selected to do that right in this dialog. Now, I do have to have some geometry to select, so I'm going to go ahead and hit OK on this. And then I'm going to create another sheet, another extruded geometry to help form the shape of one end of my profile, my extrude. So I've got my spline sketch here, and I'm going to use that to trim my one end of the block that I'm extruding. So I can click OK there and click Finish, and then I'll just make sure that this is in the path of my part. So I'll click OK. I'm going to extrude to this. In fact, I'm going to use that and then be offset from it wherever I need that block to be positioned in space. However, when I go in and edit this extrusion, that sheet disappears. It's, created after the block that I'm currently editing. And so what I need to do is I need to tell NX that this actually happened before that other block. And so I can move things around in time on my part navigator. So now when I go back and I edit this extruded block, I have the geometry of that sheet body available. And using the end value as an offset from selected, I can select that geometry, and then I can decide where I want that to be. Let's say I don't want it to be all the way out to where it is. I can use that and be offset from it to control the shape of my part. If I hide that extruded sheet and the datum coordinate system there, I've got my part trimmed just the way I want, and I can do it directly from my extruded dialog. And I can also edit it. So if I go back and edit this sheet, let's go into the sketch itself. It'll change the shape because it is associative to what I'm using as the selected object to extrude out to. So if I have this update now, looks a little interesting. So we're going to go in here and see what's happening. So maybe I have to get a little closer to that to have the shape take form properly on the design change there. But this is just one way to use that extrude limit for offset from selected.